Square in front of St. Peter's Basilica is an obelisk that stands 100 feet tall. It's shaped like the Washington Monument, and it weighs 330 tons. It was built or carved, one was to say, out of a single piece of stone, 1,850 years before the time of Jesus. It was carved by the Egyptians in honor of Pharaoh and stood there in Egypt for centuries. In fact, it was standing in Egypt when Abraham got his call out in the desert. It was standing there in Egypt when Joseph was made viceroy of Egypt. It was standing there when Moses led the people out of Egypt. It continued to stand there until the Romans conquered the Egyptians, and Caligula decided he was going to take that monument back to Rome with him. How they managed to move a 330-ton piece of stone without breaking it across the ocean, I'll never know. But there it came to Rome, and it was set up as a monument to Caesar. It was set up in the middle of what is called Nero's Circus, or a racetrack. And finally, they placed on top of that monument a gold urn that contained the ashes of Julius Caesar. It was probably the last thing that St. Peter saw before he was crucified. As it stood in that circus, that racetrack by Nero's Circus, and it was there that Peter was crucified upside down. The barbarians eventually conquered Rome, and one of the things that they did was pull down that monument. And it stood there, it lay there on the ground, sinking into the earth, overgrown with ivy and weeds. In fact, it was laying there on the ground when the original St. Peter's Basilica was built over the grave of St. Peter. Well, the barbarians, by the way, that's our ancestors, were converted to Christianity. Christianity began to flourish in Europe, and St. Peter's was rebuilt. And when it was rebuilt, the present church that we see, Pope Sixtus said we need to raise that obelisk into the center of St. Peter's Square. Quite an engineering feat, transporting it not that many yards away to a spot where it was then erected straight up and down, and on top of that obelisk then was placed a bronze cross, inside of which was a relic of Jesus' true cross. Quite a history to that monument. It is a symbol to us, perhaps, of Peter and the church, and the core truth about our faith. On top of it now is that cross, the cross of Jesus Christ, that tells us that that's the core truth, that's truly the monument that lasts forever. The fact that Jesus died for us so that our sins can be forgiven, so that we can be forever with him in heaven. But it's Peter today, not with a profession of faith like St. Thomas last week, who said, "My Lord and my God." But it's Peter today who says, "I love you, Lord." 3 times Jesus asked Peter, reminding him of the 3 times that he denied him. The last statement was, "Lord, you know everything. You know that I love you." In other words, Lord, you know me through and through. You know my weaknesses, you know my sinfulness, but you know that my heart is still in the right place. I still love you. It's on that love of Peter that Jesus decided to build his church. What does it mean to say, "I love you, Lord"? To answer that question, "Do you love me?" reminds me of the musical Fiddler on the Roof, originally titled Tevye and His 5 Daughters. takes place in Tsarist Russia. Tevye is a Jew, and he's worried about passing on the tradition of his Jewish faith to the next generation. He's worried because his daughters are not getting married to Jews. One is marrying an atheist, a Marxist. One is marrying somebody else who's not quite Jewish enough. All these girls are getting married to men that aren't going to necessarily carry on his Jewish faith. He doesn't know how God's going to do this. He's pretty upset. He also is pretty upset because the Tsar decides to put out an edict that evicts all the Jews from this village, and so they have to pack up and leave. So Tevye has this conversation with his wife, Golda, in the middle of this play. And it goes like this. One day, Tevye comes into the house and asks his wife, Golda, do you love me? Do I what? Do you love me? Golda looks at him and then responds, do I love you? With our daughters getting married and this trouble in this town, you're upset, you're worn out, go inside, go lie down. Maybe it's indigestion. Tevye interrupts and asks the question, Golda, do you love me? Golda sighs as she looked at him and says, do I love you? For 25 years, I've washed your clothes, cooked your meals, cleaned your house, given you children, milked the cows. After 25 years, why talk of love right now? Tevye answers by saying, Golda, the first time I met you was on our wedding day. I was scared, I was shy, I was nervous. So was I, says Golda. But my father and mother said we learned to love each other, Tevye continued. And now I'm asking you, Golda, do you love me? Do I love him? Golda sighs. For 25 years I've lived with him, fought with him. 25 years my bed is his. If that's not love, what is? Then you love me? Tevye asks. I suppose I do. And I suppose I love you too, Tevye says. It doesn't change a thing, but after 25 years, it's nice too. It's nice to know that Jesus knew that Peter loved him. But Peter tested that love by warning him that it's going to be difficult for you to continue to love me. As he was predicted at that moment that he was going to give his life for Jesus. As evidenced by that obelisk that's in the square of St. Peter's today that witnessed the martyrdom of Peter. In what is referred to as the new evangelization, our church has to take seriously in this secular culture in which we live to rebuild the faith and to trust that the Holy Spirit wants us to do this. Evangelization, in our minds, mainly meant missionaries going to foreign lands and introducing Jesus to people who had never heard of him. Unfortunately, in the secular culture in which we live, it's a society that thinks it knows Jesus, but is doing absolutely nothing about it. In fact, it has taken Jesus and made him just to be kind of an ornament they hang around their neck rather than something that really changes lives. How can we say that we're followers of Jesus and say that we don't respect life? People say that right out loud. How can we say that we love Jesus and anything goes, whatever you feel is right? No, I really feel that we're in a world today that thinks it knows Jesus, but really does not. And the new evangelization is for us to try to enlighten that faith once again in the hearts of people who've been introduced once to Jesus, to get him to realize what it is all about. Anyone who has made the CEC weekend knows what I'm talking about, how all of a sudden the stuff that you thought you knew, you really didn't. Because suddenly it becomes deeper in you, more understandable, and more connected to who you are. What is it? You want to change your life because of it. You want to You want to make your life better. You want to love your family more. You want to love your spouse more. All those sort of things flow from placing Christ truly at the center of our lives. Really need it. I introduced to you this week in the bulletin, the School of Mission. The School of Mission, which we're going to start in June. And I'm looking for 30 people in our parish who are willing to take this risk with me by participating in this process. I commit myself to it. I'm asking for 30 people to commit themselves to it. As we seek to continue the renewal process that is at the heart of all that we are as a church. It's the way we would actually follow Peter when he says, Lord, you know everything about me. You know that I love you. And Peter, Jesus says to him, tend my sheep. The miracle that takes place in the gospel today about the catch of fish and then the breakfast, or that story, as we say, it teaches us this. The purpose of the church is to bring people into the church and get to know who Jesus is. And then to sit around that fire and let Jesus feed us. That's the two things that the church is made of. We've got to get back to the heart of that. Otherwise, secular society will have its day with us. And we'll become less and less, rather than greater, rather than truly following what Jesus told Peter. Go out there and catch fish and feed my people.